Good morning, fellow friends and stampers. It is Nemi Batstone here, coming to you from my studio in Cooks Creek, Manitoba, 20 minutes northeast of Winnipeg. And I'm just trying to get on here. I was not ready. I had time, and then I lost track of time. So I may be 1 minute late. Let's see where we got here. Okay, so we are live. So don't forget to like, share, and comment so that you can be entered to win this week's cards. And if you place an order of $60 or more, you'll get $6 in bonus day coupons. It's the last week. And then you'll also receive a free kit of the cards we're making this week. So, bonus. Now, I can't do any stamping for you as always. However, you can use whatever you have in your stock, in your collection. I should say collection, not stock, because, you know, really, it's an investment. A very good investment. Okay. So, oh, my husband just left, which means my son probably just left. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing rides today. It's exam week, and then he slept in, missed the bus, so I'm not sure what's happening. Anyway, I don't even know if he's still here. Today, I thought I would continue with Layers of Beauty. Now, this set is currently on low inventory. It's a bundle. The bundle comes with the decorative masks, which we used yesterday, the stamp set, and the coordinating dies, which I have sitting here because I used them this morning, and we may have to do a bit more coloring to actually complete this project. Okay, I don't know where these go. That's the problem, is I never remember where they go after. Should like write it down. Okay, so this is on low inventory, which then means the bundle's not available. And when you buy the dies and the stamp set, it's like $68, but the whole thing together is $71 or something. So you definitely want to grab this up before it goes on back order. We're also using the exposed brick, and I thought I would show you some tips and techniques after creating yesterday's card. And I'll show you the card real quickly, which is this here. So we're going to create this card. Oh, I'm missing I forgot to put my third one. So we'll make sure we fix that. And I was going to show you how I made this one here. So I started ahead of time to move this all out of the way, because I was already, you know, cutting, or I should say embossing. So I might as well emboss another, but so I already heat embossed the big flower, as you can see here. So I already used one, and then I had the two there. And Stampin' Up does sell watercolored paper, like cardstock, that is technically meant for watercoloring. Where is it? Oh, here it is. But I will tell you, and they've gotten better. So it's a lot thicker because you can add a lot of water to it and not crush the paper. It's now whiter, whereas before it was more of a cream color. But it also has a kind of veiny, bumpy, kind of embossed or rough look to it, which I personally do not like all the time. So I'm cheating in using Vicky Boutin's her paper here, her cardstock, which is designed for whichever you want. It's her mixed media paper, so you can use it with anything. I prefer because it's white. It is just as thick, if not thicker. It almost feels like cardboard, but it works fantastic. But you can also use thick basic white. So I'm going to pull out a sheet of basic white here. So we'll use both, and you can see the color difference already. Thick basic white is a lot brighter than the Vicky Boutin mixed media, and it's also a lot brighter than our watercolored paper. So which I'll bring out here as well, so you can see here. the 3 different shades of color. Good morning, Gail. How are you? Are you back yet? I hope not, because it's still freezing cold here. So there's that. So I'm going to just cut off a small piece because I thought I was only going to use 1 flower and then I ended up using 2. So we'll just cut off a small piece here off this thick basic white. And we'll heat emboss that little image. So I was going to do it, but then I wanted to show you. It is a technique and a few tips. So I'm just going to cut this off because this is annoying. And then we're going to color that. And I think we have time, so I'm hoping we have time. And then we're just going to heat emboss this dude. So... and we need 2 of them. Now this is thick, like I said. So I'm just gonna grab my embossing buddy here and make sure. So on the weekend, I forgot to bring my embossing buddy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. And so I kept borrowing and borrowing, which is fine because I had so much. Like I did the virtual retreat this weekend and there was so much embossing. And I was like, this sucks. So then I finally caved in and I just went, okay, fine, I'm just going to buy another one. Which was a big mistake because they're bloody expensive. And I was like, oh, I could have just used my demo discount. But I didn't want to keep having to reach over and borrow Dawn's embossing buddy because she was the only one that had one. And then return it and then come out and return because she was doing a ton of mixed media this weekend. And so she was, you know, I didn't want to interrupt her as well. So I was like, oh. But now the bonus is I can have one in my crop retreat bag and then one at my home in my desk. So I don't have to ask for anyone. Oh, that's awesome. It's warming up, but it still feels cold. But it is better than Saturday's -30, that's for sure. So I'm just going to get that little bit off there, and I think we're okay. Oh, and then remember last Friday was not a fun Friday. And my heat tool broke. Well, then thankfully Ashley, thank you Ashley, and Laura. So Laura brought her heat tool, which is exactly like mine, that broke. And we've both had ours for like, I don't know, I'm going to age myself, 30 years probably. So mine just finally went kaput. So I don't think she uses hers as often as I do. And then Ashley's like, I got an extra one. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday. So I was like there. Oh, no worries. I know we're going to miss you at my crop. It's going to be full of laughter and funniness as always. Because, you know, we're cray-cray and I just love hearing all the giggles. Okay, so we're going to be very different. And this is something I learned at Virtual Retreat and I should do more often, which is be different. Like, it's art and you can do whatever you want. So I've chosen 3 colors to color here. And I'm using Blueberry Bushel, Pool Party, and Crushed Curry. And we're going to watercolor. Have you ever watercolored before? So Stampin' Up! Sells 3 water painters. They look like this in a set, and which is fantastic. They also fill with water. So I'm going to show you how that works. And then if you're lazy like me, sometimes and they're empty, I don't bother. I use just a bowl of water. So if you don't have painters, that's fine, but they are more ideal to use. I love the fact that I can go really fine with that one. And if I have a big page, then I can definitely use that. Great for card making and scrapbooking or whatever media you're doing. And sometimes I see one, there's this little hair there. So I'm going to grab my paper snips here. I'm going to cut that piece that's just not following the rest of them. There we go. There's still plenty of bristles on there. So we're going to use these. So I'll show you a couple tricks. We're going to start with Pool Party. So you have 2 options. You can either push onto your ink pad, depending which one you use, or you can grab a block. And now I already have ink there. Or you can grab a block and add ink to a block. I probably should have did it the opposite way because then you can see it. So then you're going to take your paintbrush and then you're just going to add water. So with these, there's this little word here that says push. And then as you push, the water should come out. So there it is. So water is falling out. You probably can't see that. I just realized that because it's so clear. And then you can blend in that color. Now you also want to have a paper towel nearby because like anything, there'll be that big blob on there and you may need to dab your brush just to get rid of some of that water. So the more water you add, the lighter it goes. Less water you add, which is way over here, then the darker. So we're gonna take that, and then sometimes I have too much water, so I just do a quick dab, and then you just start coloring. So we're gonna add water here, or we're gonna add ink, watered ink, to our cardstock. And I'm gonna add a bit more. And I'm just gonna brush. Now, if you make a mistake, this is where you can take your paper towel and just wipe it. Now we're just gonna add that little thin base. So our flowers are gonna be pool party. And we're just coloring that in. I'm just adding a base, not too concerned with detail at this moment. And more here. Oops, almost went the wrong way. And added it to the leaf. And there you go. Where else do I have? Oh, I have little flowers over here. So it'll be a little more finer. So I'm going to use a tip more than I will use the whole brush. So I'm just angling my paintbrush so that I can get in there. And then I'm going to go in here as well. Oh, you are here. Okay, so after this, I'm probably going to have to drop my sun off. Now, is that flower or is that leaf? Let me just double check there. Okay, I think it's flower. Okay, now we're going to add more here. Okay, did I miss one? Oh, over here. Oh no, I did that one already. It's just really light. Now, so we've got a nice thin layer on there. So as it dries, you can add more where you think you need more, and then it'll darken up. Okay. And then if it's too dark, just add water, and then that color will just dilute even more. Okay. This is where you're like, oh, where's the music? It's great if you had background music. Now, if you run out of water, like I just did, then you just squeeze your water painter and add more water and get more color in it. Oops, see, I didn't. So at that point there, I didn't dab onto the paper towel, so it added a big blob. So I'm just gonna tap that, so then that way it gets off. And then add more color where we need to. Okay, I'm just gonna lift this up so I can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna take my fine tip now, and I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it, just wet the brush because I don't remember how long it's been. And I'm gonna go into the darker spot here of my block where there's barely any water, and I'm gonna really pull that color in. So I'll just bring it up. Thanks, Gail. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I often forget to watercolor. I just, you know, drift towards my blends more often. And this is very much like blending. So you're literally like taking the dark color of your blends and adding color where you feel is necessary. But with watercolor, because it is water, you can dilute it right after even while it's dry, because then it'll just add. It'll just put more. It'll lighten it as you add that. And I'm just picking certain spots. And I really like the fine tip for this one because I can follow the lines and add a little little bit of color there. Okay. So wherever you feel. And if you get big blobs of ink like I just did there, because it'll dry like that, you can just dab it. But I think I spread it enough. And I'm okay if you see white, because that, to me, it just shows that it is more watercolored. And then we're gonna add a little bit of color here as well. And then into there. Okay, so this is Pool Party, so it is very light. But again, if you want to darken it, just keep adding color. Just keep adding more and more color in there. This might be good enough, so we'll see. And sometimes when it's too much, then you go into the water here, like I put too much there, so I'm just gonna blend that in a bit. There. And then I'm gonna pick up more of that dark again, and maybe add it along this side. Okay, I think I'm almost done. I just wanna add a big dark streak in here to make that flower pop a bit more, and then maybe one more in here along that side. Let's check this flower. A little bit there. What's great is you have all these lines, so these lines really help you guide through. And because it's embossed, don't worry, nothing's obviously going to come off. Okay, I think that that's good enough for me. It's kind of hard to see because it's such a light color, Pool Party, but I'm purposely also leaving it light. So when you win this card, you will see. And when you practice this technique yourself at home, you'll see how easy it really is to play with. Okay, so I'm just adding a little more color just to darken up a little bit of that Pool Party so it's a little brighter. There we go. So those are our flowers. These ones I want to keep light because they're smaller, and then they'll pop against the leaves. And wait till you see what we do with the leaves. Now this you just clean off by just adding more water or blobbing like so, and then it just goes on your paper towel. And because these have water in them, you just squirt out water and keep wiping until the tip runs clear. Now there might be some stain, but now you can dip it in any other color, light or dark. So again, I'm just gonna squeeze till some water comes out, and then wipe my brush. And if it wipes dry, or wipes clear I should say, then that means all the blue ink is now gone. So there's a little bit on there, so I'm gonna keep going because I don't want that blue ink. Now, if you don't have fancy water paint brushes like I do, you can, water painters, then you can just use, gotta pull this off. You can just use a little bowl, like a prep bowl, not a big massive one like my husband gave me last week. That was so funny. And you can also dip. So you could just dip in there and clean your brushes and use that water. So we'll do that method now so that you can see the difference. It works the same, but just to show you, you can do either one. And then here, instead of putting it on the block, I'm gonna squeeze into my base, and then I get ink like this. Use that to hold it. So we are using Blueberry Bushel, and we're gonna use Blueberry Bushel to color the leaves. Correct, you heard me. So instead of squeezing my water painter, I'm gonna bring ink or bring water, and I'm gonna drop it in and then color. So we're not using green, we're gonna be rebels here. And there's a little bit too much. I'm just gonna drop that on there, and we're gonna start coloring. Now that's a little too dark for me, so I'm gonna water that down even more. And we're gonna color that in. Still too dark on that first one, so I'm gonna dab it. So now it's a little lighter. And now I can darken it a bit more. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna add that all into our leaves. Blue leaves, what? So this is something I learned, you know, while we were crafting at the virtual, Stampin' Up! Virtual retreat, was you don't have to, it's art. So use whatever colors you want. Maybe you want purple, maybe you want pinks. There's nothing that says leaves have to be green, nor flowers, right? So it's coloring. So I think that the older we get, the more stuck in standardization or expectation we get, right? And so when we're younger, we tend to use our imagination and think outside the box. Then as we get older and we learn and we're taught and we're educated, we forget to use our imagination. And that's why I felt this time around, I'm gonna force you to think about what colors you can use. That one's too much, so lighten it up. And I hope this inspires you to color out of the box, per se. Okay. Now, sometimes if it's too wet, after you can also take your heat tool and dry it up. And if you color outside the lines, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's art. And if it bothers you, then just use water and clean it up. Oh, too much water. Too much. Still too much. So I'm gonna dab that up. And go outside. Okay, I think I got most of it. Let's see. Yeah, I missed one over here, but that's okay. Because I'm gonna go darker there, I think. Ooh, those two are dark already. Okay. So now I'm gonna switch paintbrushes, because this one I just used to color everything in. Ooh, I went outside the line, see? And we're gonna do some fine tips. So I'm gonna clean that off, just using my water here. And again, see right away. Sometimes I find it's easier to just use a prep bowl of water than to keep squeezing my water painter. So now we're gonna take this and we're gonna take the darker color here in my mess. And you don't have to worry about cleaning this up because our inks are water-based. So just let the water drip in it if you want. Drip back into the ink pad. But if it bothers you, then just dab it with a paper towel. So now that I have this really fine brush, it's a little dark. It's almost black, but it's so pretty. So I'm just gonna dab it. I dropped a bit here, so I'm gonna clean that up. Just dabbing it with my brush or with my paper towel. But I want these little ones to be super dark to just make it stand out. You know what I mean? But look how fine I can go in there with this brush. Like it's so easy to just, because it's so fine, I can really get in there and add some amazing color. Like blueberry bushel. I was gonna use Misty Moonlight, but I wanted something a little more striking. So it was between this color and Secret Sea. And Secret Sea has become my new love of blues, and I love blues. But this time I was like, you know what, I use it so much, I need to change up the color. So I went with Blueberry Bushel. So I'm just making all these little ones really dark, because I want them to add that little bit of color. Where is, oh, over here. I'm like, where did I miss? Okay. There, oh, maybe we can do this guy here too. Just for fun. Okay, now I'm gonna do some blending where I'm just gonna add little lines inside where I can, and I don't like it when it clumps up like that, so I'm just gonna dab my finger. You can use your finger too, rather than use paper towel. And then I'm gonna go right in there too. Okay. I mean, this is coloring, so however you want to do it. I'm getting blobs, and I don't like that. Okay. I'll pick up a little color over here on this dark side with very little water, so I don't get those blobs. And I'm just going along the veins of the leaves, wherever I can see them. Okay. It's just adding depth. Look at that. I can literally write my name with this. That's how amazing this fine tip one is. So like I said, our watercolors come in water painters come in a set of 3. So, you know, or just use paintbrushes, whatever you're more comfortable with. I like our water painters. In fact, you know what, to be honest, I really like the old water painters that we had. I mean, these are nice and all, but I prefer the older ones. I don't know why, because it doesn't have this fine, precise tip, but for some reason, I just like it more. I'm just adding more ink to these to make them a little darker. And then I'm going in over here. I'm going to add this one to make it dark along one side. Okay. And then over here. So then I'm going to go in afterwards and just do a light brush, just like you would with the blending brushes. And, you know, just to make sure everything is well blended, per se. I think we're good. Did I miss any? I don't think I missed any. Go a little darker here, maybe. I think we're good. Okay. Now, okay, so I'm gonna wet that. And then I'm gonna pick up more of the lighter. Try and get it as light as I can here. Messy! And then go back over some of that to just blend it a bit more. But I want to keep it as light as I can so that those dark colors stay there. Oh, and go. So after this, I gotta drop my son off school since he chose to sleep in and miss his bus. Good thing his exam is later. Oh, I forgot to do those ones. That's okay. We'll leave them light. And then we'll color in here. So just blending those lines in, giving them that watercolored look. Last week we worked with the, what is it, Lovely and Beautiful, and it had tons of watercolored designer series paper, which is next month's Let's Get Crafty Club. So, my card club. I don't know, I should just call it card club. Like, I've done a few different things with it as bonuses for you each month, so I've been kind of hesitant on just calling it a card club. Like this month, so January's card club got 3 free of I added the 3 heart gusseted bags for, you know, Valentine's, just to show you, and then I showed different techniques to use them. So they're, you know, it's not really a card, so I, you know, how do you call it a card club when you add those little things in there? I think once before I did a scrapbook page, so yeah, as a bonus. So ta-da, it's finished. I think it's beautiful. I love it. So if you wanted to now, you could just let that dry. Like I said, you could take your heat tool, probably not a good idea, and then you could just dab on it to make sure it's all dry, and that'll help set it. Oh, I just realized we forgot to do these ones. Okay, let's come back in here real quick and let's do these guys, because I just forgot. Oh, we need the little ones. Okay, so since I have my blue out, I'm going to do the leaves first. Forgot these guys. Okay. And then I'm going to pick up some dark and then just put that little bit in there. There we go. I'll take my paper towel and dab it a bit, because there's a little too much. Okay, now we need Pool Party. So again, that's messy, but that's okay. It'll just go into the ink pad. And I'm going to bring my Pool Party back in. Make sure this is nice and clean. And we'll just use a block or a pad and some water in there and color in my flowers. Oh, I missed a leaf. Okay. Alright, so you can squeeze the water painter or just use a little prep bowl or little tiny bowl of water, whichever you prefer. Now I realize I missed a leaf, so I'm just gonna pick up some of that and dab it right in there. Missed that leaf. Okay, so now we just need to do our centers, which I'm gonna do in crushed curry. I picked a dark color. I wanted it the darkest yellow to go in the middle to just make it pop, rather than a bright yellow like Lemon Lolly. There's not very many of them, so we're just going in with our ink and just coloring those centers. Where else do we have? Here and there. Okay. And make sure this is all good. Ooh, the sun's shining. Nice. Ta-da! Okay, so now all we have to do is die cut it. So we're gonna, I'm just gonna put the lids back on these. I think this one's the smallest. And then I have my medium. And then I have my large. I didn't use the large one. There we go. And they're good. Move my water out of the way. So now we're just gonna die cut these. So let's grab those dies, which I put where? Oh, here. Okay. I take this big die. Get it out. If I can get it out. and slide that on there. Which way does this go? This way. I'm like, why am I struggling here? So this one fits practically right on the line. There's no white gap showing. So you just line it up with the gold embossing there as best as you can. Oh, I missed a leaf. Oh no, that's a swirl. We're good. And then I'm just gonna grab a bit of tape, you know. Just want to hold this in place as best as we can. These are all from yesterday. Okay, and then we have the two little ones. Now I can only cut one of these at a time. So we'll have to run it through twice. Okay, so I'm gonna put my big box over here because it's pretty big. And then I'm gonna run these through. So I'm not gonna bring my big boss into the camera, but I'll give you something to look at. And I'm just gonna run it off here to the side so I don't have to move everything too much. It sounds like a train, but it's actually the plow. I'm surprised they're plowing again. So there's one. There's our little one. So I just got to cut this other little one here. And then we're going to do something crazy. You know, another little tip and trick I wanted to share with you that we can do to really maximize. Like, that's a pretty big flower. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like you saw it yesterday, it took up a lot of space. But you can really maximize it even more. So we got that. We're going to put this back on here. And take this all off. So again, I did these in thick basic white. And then this one here, I used Vicky Boutin's mixed media paper. When I'm doing big things, that's my ideal go-to. That on there. And now we have those pieces. This is now garbage. And I've already die cut my 3 leaves here already. So we have those as well that we need to use. Huh, that sun's shining through. I don't think I need my lights. I'm gonna turn this light off because like it's not gonna do us any good. Okay, so there you go. But I'm gonna do something crazy, and that is cut up my flower. But in a good way, because what we're going to do is spread that flower out. So I'm gonna take this piece off because I found that this one also, because the way I spread my flowers, it was off the page. So I think it makes more sense to just cut this one off and tuck it. So I'm just going in there with my scissors and cutting that piece off. So now we have that. So now we got to figure out where to cut. And then I figured I think I cut right here. So I went through the middle, through here, I believe, and cut this off. I also cut this flower. So we're gonna go this way. I think we'll do that first. I cut this flower off because I wanted to tuck it. So we're gonna cut this off here. And now we're gonna have multiple pieces to work with. And don't worry, we're tucking, so I'm not too concerned about this flower. So then now that is going to be tucked, and this one's gonna be exposed. So I'm just gonna clean up my cut line here and make it a little prettier and make it look like we didn't purposely cut it. Okay, so now I'm left with that. And then I think I might be, oh no, we want this one on the top. So we're gonna cut through here. And I'm gonna cut this here and lose that leaf. two here. So I'm going to go in between. I'm just moving my paper here and then cut right in between these two leaves. There. So now I'm going to trim this to make it look prettier, like I purposely didn't. And now I have that piece. And we're going to clean up this one as well. I don't know if this is going to matter or not, but just in case, we don't want to try and clean it up after we've glued it down. Okay, so we have that. So now we've got 4 pieces instead of one gigantic one. Okay, and I'm going to clean this up here just in case. I don't know what's going to be exposed yet. So I'm going to clean that up a bit. And I think there was one other spot I wanted to clean up. Maybe right in here. I feel like there's too much white there. So nick this guy right in there, just in case. Okay, a little too sharp on the corner. And slide. There we go. Nice. Okay, let's trim this side a bit too. Okay, now, so there I've got 4 pieces out of one big flower. So now we're almost ready to assemble. So I took a piece of white and ran it through the exposed 3D embossing folder. And now we're going to do something else with that. So we're going to take crumb cake because it's so stark, and we're going to do another technique, and that is sliding the ink across. So I'm right-handed, so we're just literally going to lightly slide our ink right across so that all those pieces or dents that are in there from the 3D embossing folder are going to pop. So I'm just going to go, and I always start off the mat, off my image, so then that way I get that running flow. And you want to be light because I don't want to see, even though we're going to cover it, we're probably going to cover it in the middle. We're going to see, you might see some of that line. So we're going to go at an angle because my flowers are in an angle. And I'm just going to lightly run that through to just create some color. So I'm right-handed, which is why I flipped my paper. And I'm trying to avoid getting lines, like literally image lines. So then now we're going to run up and down because I made that mistake on my first card, and I'll show you. You can see on my first card here, I ran it too hard, and so I've got these extra lines in here that created boo-boos. Oh, that sun's shining through. Oh, no worries, Christine. No worries about being late. Hey, by the way, are you going to see your sister? Because I'm probably going to drop off her DSP share. And then that would make it easier than leaving it on your front step. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But just thought I'd ask. It doesn't get all cold and icky. Okay, so there it is. So now we just went from a stark white to some indented color in there. Whew, that's fun. So I might have to move moving forward. Okay, so let's take our 4 pieces. Now we're going to dry fit. So this flower is going to go up here in this corner. This is where I wanted that one. So off to the side a bit. And then this one is going to tuck under. And this one is going to be our main focal flower. So it can go either way. I think I did it this way. I can't remember, or maybe it was this way. I think it was this way because I really wanted that flower to show. So that one's going to tuck right underneath. And then this piece, because it was originally way over here, didn't work. So now we're going to tuck this one over here. So now you get that look. And look how far spread, now we're at a different angle. So we're going to add our flowers where we think we can add them or where it makes sense. So I could add one coming out maybe, actually, you know what, I'm probably going to add one. I think I added one over here, I think. And then this one I think I can put right in there or more down towards the center, because now we can now tuck in. Now you're just playing, trying to figure out where you want those pieces. So we're going to add in a little brown, and I have 3, so I'm going to add a third one down here because I forgot to do that on my first one. And then, sorry, my second one, and then my third one is going to go somewhere up here, like so. So now you've got that nice big color mix, and so that works out, I think, much nicer. Now, I trimmed mine based on the original white, so you can see here I trimmed it here, and I didn't like that. So I'm going to trim it based on my cardstock, my card base, I should say. So we're going to pull in our card base, which is Pool Party. I'm going to line that up. And we're just gonna burnish that so it's nice and flat. I like mine flat. Okay, so now that we have an idea of where we want to put our pieces, I'm just gonna slide those off. And then we're gonna adhere that to the back or to the front of our card base. Thursday, well, I don't think you want to wait that long, do you? So I'll drop it off. Anyway. So, but you know, tonight, Benjamin's at Layla at 6, so I gotta make, so I'll probably just drop it off either before or after. I'm usually like, it's so crazy at Winnipeg, the North Winnipeg Soccer Complex, because like the parking is always full. And last week we had to share with, they had football tryouts for the Bomber Academy, so there were so many kids and the parking lot was just packed. So I'm like, I don't want to park that far. I'll wait till the other soccer kids leave. So then I'm like, okay, I'll just go for coffee or whatever. So yeah, I'm like, oh, I hate parking so far away. Especially when it's cold, because there the cold is insane. Okay, so that's where we're going to go. So I'm going to stick 2 dimensionals closer to this edge because we're going to do some tucking, right? So I'm going to stick one here and then one there. So then that way we have all exposure on the other side for doing all of our tucking. Tuck, tuck, tuck away, tuck, tuck. Okay, so I'm going to add that and that. Sorry, I got my scrap in here. And we're just going to position that on there as best as we can because I want the majority of that flower in there and the leaf. I'd like to not trim it if I don't have to because it's so pretty. I don't know. I think it's pretty. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Okay, so now same with this one. So we're going to go down here in this corner. And I'm using Pool Party, the cardstock base, as my edge. So again, I can put dimensionals along this bottom edge. So then again, we can do our tucking. Oh, I lost it. It stuck to my thumb instead of going on there. Thank you, Christine. So you missed it. I was watercoloring. So we watercolored this one instead of just using blends, you know, Tip Tuesday. Now this one is going to tuck in there. So we're just going to glue that down. So this is the edge that I cut off. So we just want to make sure that that's hidden. Now this cardstock's a little thick, so I'm going to use my Seal Plus. So I prefer Seal Plus over regular Seal. I've tried to go back to using it. And I hate it. I just don't like it. I can't make it work. Okay, so there we go. Now I've kept these pieces here loosey-goosey because I want to be able, these 2 ends, I want to be able to tuck if I need to tuck, right? Which is the other flowers. So now we have this piece. I love this piece, so I really don't want to get rid of it too much. So that's why we cut it off. And we're going to stick that one right there. So I'm barely cutting off the edge. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lift that end with a dimensional and keep that end flat. So we're going to tuck this side. So I'm going to use that. And then we're going to use a dimensional to lift this end. You see what's going on here? Lots of cool tips and tricks. I think. I hope they are cool tips and tricks for you. And you'll see that when you recreate this yourself. Okay, and you could use whatever flowers you have, whichever, don't worry. So like I said, we left all of that open so that we have room to tuck. So now I'm just gonna grab a mini glue dot. Running low on mini glue dots. I think these are on low inventory as well. There's so much stuff on low inventory. It's crazy. So I've already started. I think I'm gonna have to pre-order earlier. And there's been so many delays. Like my last 2 orders have taken way longer because of weather. I'm like, thanks UPS. People want their DSP share. Couldn't believe it. It's like crazy. Okay, I'm just trying to get that in the right spot, I think. Okay, and I like mine loose, so I'm not, that's why I'm tucking. If you don't, then add adhesive to that. And then we're gonna add this one up in here. So again, I'm just gonna grab another mini glue dot, because to me that's easier. That's easier than adding little drops of glue or using my tape runner, whichever tape runner you have, which for me it's Seal Plus. So again, because we didn't put any dimensionals or on there, we can just easily tuck right in there. Okay, now our third one is gonna go down here because I'm gonna run my sentiment, which is gonna be on this piece. I think I'm gonna put it a little higher this time, maybe covering up that. I really don't want to cover up the flowers because they're so pretty, but I don't think I have much of a choice. So that's what happened with the other one. I was like, oh, I really don't want to cover that flower up. So we'll tuck this one in underneath around here maybe. So again, mini glue dot. And then at an angle pointing down. There. So now we have our 2 flowers, and so I'm gonna put 1 flower up here to just fill in that gap to bridge the 2 pieces together. So it's, since we got that texture embossed folder, and I don't like to get my hands full of stickiness, we are just using, again, mini glue dots. Do I want it there, or do I want it over here, overlapping that flower? No, we'll go here. Okay, so there we go. And then we have 1 more flower. And this one can either go up here, I think, or we can go there. Now, I don't want to put too much down here because I know I'm covering this up. Probably maybe tuck under. And maybe this one does go there, so it adds more bling. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so again, I'm just putting 2 mini diamond glue dots, and we're gonna go up over there. So there's our front. Now again, move it wherever you want. Hello, Shell, no worries. My replay is always there. There we go. So we've cut 1 big huge flower into 4 pieces, added them in, added some crumb cake to give it a little bit of difference. And of course we heat embossed in gold because you know I can never get enough heat embossing. And then now we're just gonna add this in. Now, if you don't like this floppiness, this is a great time to then take your pick tool, which, oh, sorry, it's by my big boss. And I'm gonna take some minis. I'm not gonna cut those large ones in half. That's what they did at the virtual card retreat. I'm like, why don't you just get minis? And I'm just gonna stick one there, and then I'll probably stick one there. Just so that when they, if for some strange reason, they put this back in the envelope, then it's not gonna get caught. It's one thing when you put it in the envelope, and then another when your recipient puts it in the envelope. There we go. And then that one we glued down. So this one's popped up, but that will get covered by the sentiment. So we'll add maybe one more over on this side there. Okay, so all we got left is our sentiments and our gems, and then we're good. So I'm going to take, in the trend of the blues, my Secret C. I think Secret C has replaced basic black for me, or tuxedo black, or any black, because I'm like constantly using it. I've fallen in love with it. It's like my new go-to. Okay, and then so I'm using the sentiment You Make My Heart Smile, which comes with the stamp set. And then we're just gonna drop that down. I just re-inked it, so it's gonna be a little darker. And then we're just gonna trim it. So I'm just gonna trim this one side with my scissors here. And I'm gonna keep it straight. I'm not gonna be picky. Just be straight. And then that's gonna go right about here. Okay, so we have to go further in. So we're gonna go like so. I think about there. So we're gonna need some dimensionals on that. So I'm gonna use my minis just so I have room to maneuver in case I need to tuck or whichever. This side I'm gonna keep open first because I don't know if I'm hitting something yet. And then we can just stick another glue dot or dimensional if we have space to do that. Okay, whew, that missed my entire basket. So we're gonna stick closer to the edge and we'll just trim off what we need. See, I really didn't want to cover up that flower, but it looks like I'm going to have to. And gotta make sure, just a wee bit more, because I gotta make sure that that E is not off our page. Then I just gotta make sure it's straight. So sorry, I gotta lift it up because I can't see. Okay, there we go. Love it. So I think I'm okay, but I could stick a mini glue dot there. So I'll just grab one more in case it lifts. I mean, this is your card. My version's over there. So now we're just gonna cut off whatever needs to get cut off. I have a wee bit up here. Let's cut that off. And there we go. Oh, let's see. Just peel this back. This one there. And then I think I'm good. Awesome. So there we go. Oh, how did I get that there? Let's see if I can get some of that off. I just really need the bottom part off. So there. Because we're going to cover it anyway with an insert. There we go. Ta-da! What do you think? I think it's beautiful, but that's just me. So here's my original. So you can see I forgot my third one down there. So it's a little off. So I think the 3 makes a big difference. Yeah, no kidding. Like, I have about 10 inks that need major re-inking right now. Maybe that's something I do while I watch TV with my kids or something. And then we need some dimensionals. So let's grab our dimensionals, and I'm going to grab these Moody Palette Glossy Dots. And there is a dark blue in this one, like the Secret C. And so, where's my, take your pick tool, because these are nice and flat. We're gonna add these to the card. So then I have lots of space up here to add. So I'm gonna lift this up and we're gonna put one there. And then I'm gonna add another one up about here. We can add actually a million of these. Another one down here. You know, I can literally, and then let's go, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm gonna push this one here, which then means this one needs to move. And I'm gonna move that one more up there. And then I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th one over here, down here by the sentiment. How's that look? I'm checking my screen to make sure that that looks okay. This one feels like it's a little farther away, so we'll just move it closer so it's not so far. The side's kind of like empty, but I think that looks okay. So we're almost done, almost done. What time is it? Oh, it's right on the dot. Okay, so let's wrap up. So the only thing left we have is to put this on the inside, and let's make sure I did the right side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take that big stamp set, which is sitting here on my block, and I'm going to pull it off, or sorry, on my block, on my, because I was using it to heat emboss. Okay, I grab that off, and I'm going to pull out my massive block. Stuck in the corner. This is like what, size F? So this is size F. And then we're gonna just ink up a bit. So we're gonna ink up this flower right here. Sorry, wrong color. We need, I'm going to use Pool Party. Oh, if I don't drop my ink pad. Okay, so we're gonna use Pool Party, ink this up. I don't know how much I'll really need, to be honest. And then I'm gonna flip it. And then we're gonna ink up this corner, like this, right about there. I'm just gonna grab my tool. My hands are a little sore today. That. Couldn't even open the milk this morning. And voila, that will be the inside of our card. So we'll add that in. So good thing if I hadn't done some of the pre-work, it definitely would have took us a little longer to get done. So glad I got that done. Okay, then make sure we put that the right way. Okay, so don't forget to like, comment, and share. Share my posts so that others can see it and be inspired as well. And then I'm going to do something else, which we don't normally do or think of doing. Oh, that one's wrecked. And that is, I'm going to now stamp my envelope. So I don't know if I got any adhesive on my desktop, so I'm just gonna grab a piece of white, and then I'm gonna also stamp this flower onto the front. Oh, maybe I'll be different in the same spot. So I'm gonna ink this up, and you know what, I'm gonna do it on the front instead. And I'm just gonna make sure I put enough ink on there. And I'm gonna slide that literally all the way up into this corner. Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to give you the envelope now too. Or I could keep it for myself. Who am I kidding? So there we go. So then we have that nice pattern on the front. So you could also add it here along the edge if you wanted to, but that's a nice thing. So some of them don't have this nice edge. So it's really short, so you'll have to find a different spot. I don't normally like to stamp here because you have layers. You can feel the bumps, so it's either the front or the flap. So there we go. So there's our card with envelope. Ta-da! And then this was my original inspiration that it came from. So I hope you really like that and try watercoloring yourself. And I hope you enjoy it. So thank you for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 9. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine and happy stamping. Bye.